subject. It may not be perfectly organized, but hopefully it'll be helpful. In other words, we're living in a very critical time. Everybody understands that, and everybody knows that. And part of the subject I want to talk about is how to channel paranoia. How to channel paranoia. Paranoia is real. Okay, how to get good out of it, how to channel it, how to direct it, and selected paranoia. Selected paranoia is a process of looking at what's going on and making an attempt to select those things that are real out of this so-called paranoia. Because paranoia can stretch out. But in order to make good decisions, you have to use everything that's thrown at you as a benefit. And so the paranoia that's spreading around the world and in America today is a type of paranoia gone wild, where there's, it's like conspiracy theories that they put out. They may have people like Alex Jones. In his early years, he might put out some very good information, but as time go on, he began to mix in their things that they want him to do. Like if they seeing how things are going, they will put somebody out there in charge of you. Not somebody, but many bodies. And coming from, we shouldn't say many directions, but several or almost all directions. Some are reasonable, some are unreasonable, some, when they get that cocktail and that mix rolling, they're on the move. So later on, Alex Jones will say, well, those kids that were killed up there in the Northeast, that was all fake. You know, and the parents are faking about, okay, that's a lie. It's a lie. That really happened. But they don't talk, he don't talk about the real government policy. The policy of selecting individual young people with a psychological background from their records, you know, that might be prone to certain things. And then they select them to push them over the top and get them to do those things. But it would make too much sense to people if that was presented. Like the Navy Yard. The guy in the Navy Yard, at least they printed this in the press, that he kept saying, hey man, I got, he told the FBI, it's in the newspaper, hey man, they talking to me, you know, somebody talking to me, and basically they were hinting to him, you know, do this type of thing, do that type of thing, like Waswasa. He told them that. Does anybody remember that he told the FBI? Now, suppose you went down and told the FBI, man, I got somebody talking to me, and I'm getting a message that I ought to blow up the White House, and kill Congressman so-and-so and blow up the Senate. What do you think they would do to you?
Right.
They'd have you away, right away, right?
That's right.
Because you're just thinking about it and you done told them, so they got you on the need help list, need treatment list, all those lists. Okay? Now, why didn't they do that to him, to this guy, to the Navy Yard man? Why? It's very simple. Because they know what they're doing and they didn't want that to come out. So, if you've been coming here, you have a sense of what's been going on. But, so, there's a mixture of things. There's reality. Reality is crazy enough as it is. that they just going on with what we talk about climate change or climate summit. Shoot, they rolling right along like, hey, it ain't no big deal. But then they got people with them, especially at the top, that have what we call insane solutions. And we'll get to those in a minute. But selected paranoia is how to use it to study its effect. And today we're going to talk about pain, pain use, pain focus. And we're going to talk a little bit about our experience with pain and how to exploit it. Even how to embrace it. Embrace pain. Now, we're going off of what they believe, that the human being operates on two main principles, from Freud, of course, pain and pleasure. Right? The human being want to move toward pleasure and away from pain. The presence of young children in the house may be very pleasurable to somebody who's wanted children, who grew up in a big family, and that's very pleasurable, you know, to them. They feel like I'm working towards something. When they go to work, they feel like I'm going to work for something. I'm going to work for my children, for their education, for their future, and it's pleasurable. Other people may never wanted kids, and they be mad at their husband for giving them children, although they're not trying to avoid the pleasure of what produces the children. But they mad that if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be having all these kids. And then we got to feed them too. You know what I mean? And then they have problems. And their problems make us have problems. And how I'm going to enjoy life trying to solve their problems. On and on. So that picture of pleasure and pain becomes very strategic, because you can manage those two principles. You can tell a young person, if you join the army and you join this, that, and the other, we're going to give you a great education. You know, we're going to give you a great education, and that education is going to be very pleasurable, since you don't have too many opportunities. And in the meantime, join on up, sign here, and we're going to send you to Iraq, and you might go over there. And when you come back, I was listening to a lady this morning talking about her husband was ready to commit suicide, and she told him, just give me 5 more minutes. Just 5 minutes to tell you how your life. He was looking at it according to what they were saying, like, I failed in everything. I failed with my family. You know what I mean? He's an Iraqi veteran or Afghani veteran. And he looked at it like this life insurance policy. If I'm not here, I would at least be able to give them something, because I'm conflicted. And the family knew it. I mean, they talked about this thing. And his wife caught him before he was able to pull the trigger, and she said, just give me 5 minutes, you know. Now, she didn't call the Sykes and everybody's headed to the house, but she really wants 5 minutes to talk to her husband about how important you are to us and how valuable you are to us. And the thing about it, all this pain in his life is produced by the system. They told him, if you do these 1 or 2 things, we're going to give you a lot of pleasure. A pleasure of education for your children, a pleasure of security. But now, they didn't send him somewhere that's destroyed his whole focus on life, and he's ready to kill himself. to give his family the little pleasure that his insurance policy, because he can't produce that. He don't have it in this. They've taken out of him every possibility of being a contribution for pleasure and optimism in life for his family. And his wife is saying, just give me 5 minutes. That's all. I want 5 minutes. And in that 5 minutes, they were saying at the end of the program, we've been living that 5 minutes for so many years now because she was successful and he didn't commit suicide. But how many other people, for the pleasure of getting an education because they're poor and don't have anything, right? That they'll put them in the most dangerous, threatening situation that people want security, like most policemen and government workers. The thing government workers want is stability and security. So they carry mail in the rain, snow, and sleet all the time for some security in old age. So maybe I could drive me a Cadillac when I get old, like all the other postmen, and you know what I mean? You can tell. So they give up for that temporary stability. They give up rain, snow, sleet, whatever it is. By the way, that came from the old statement in Persia. The post people will go out, rain, snow, sleet, and all that. Actually, they the first one invented a postal system, not to divert. But paranoia, how to channel it, how to directed paranoia. This is real. We're going to study. We're going to use life as a laboratory, or our life. Technically, what I'm talking about, a lot of this is my personal experience with a lot of this stuff. Because this stuff is now critical. Not critical today, it's been critical, right? But when they started in on this little session here recently, I realized that we must be hitting the points very accurately because Boss Man is upset. Boss Man is mad at me. And Boss Man is thinking, oh, let's see. He said, well, if they had me hanging upside down and tortured me, I would just say, oh, Boss Man, how y'all treat poor Musa? I don't know if y'all remember those. Oh, I was just playing and da-da-da-da-da. So they want to know how serious that is. They remember other statements like, man, I was running in the hills in Oakland and I never felt that much pain in my life, except for this pain right here. This pain this morning, this pain the other morning, and this has been going on over the last week, you know. And Boss Man been paying attention because, for instance, do you remember the time I was walking down here and I had the cane, I couldn't hardly walk, and you could tell I was in pain. I went back home and did something, and I came back 45 minutes, an hour later, I was almost skipping.
Right, yeah.
Okay, because I deal with physical fitness and all the health books and all that, I got stacks of them right now. So the theories and the realities, all I did was I had, when I went back, I put on those little ankle things, those little small elastic things go around the ankle, because my ankle was, then my knees and everything, and a little bit of back was all sore, probably from standing up cooking and all that. And maybe one night I had cooked all night long, and standing on that concrete floor, like you know from selling, after a few days of standing on that stuff, it gets you busy. So you can see how people need all those kind of special socks and everything to keep, when they get varicose vein. Anyway, I had a little formula and it worked. I just went back That's okay. I'll take a hot bath and Epsom salt, and I'll do a few of my exercises, and I came back ready to go. For the last several days, like you noticed yesterday, it was difficult to get around a little bit, but I went over and I worked out for at least a half an hour. I mean, lifting weights, and I got my little type of thing that I do, hitting the bag, and I'm hitting the bag especially. I'm not just getting in there, I'm using my body in a way to really warm it up, and by the third set, I can punch it like I want. Also, the weights that I'm using, by the time I finish, or even starting, I do some deadlifts, like deadlifts, of course. But it's dealing with my back, so I do a few deadlifts. Everything goes perfect. It just goes perfect. Okay, then I sit down and I'm doing my, front pushes. I can't do back arms anymore. Or I can if I just want to hurt my elbows. But French curls they call them. So now I don't do those back arms, either laying down or standing up. So I do, just front pushes for the chest. And then get a little bit of your arms back there, you know what I mean? And then I do set of curls. Let's call them supersets. So by the time I get over to the bench presses, I'm warmed up top, and I do so many of them. And I know how many I'm able to do. That'll let me know where I'm at. So I'll do just warm up, and do 4 or 5 or something. Then after that, I do more. And then after that, I do a few more, because you're warming up. And when you get older, you really have to warm up. It's different than when you're young. You can just jump out and start running down the street when you're young. But when you get older, you have to warm up a little bit. Okay, so yesterday, I felt perfect. When I got up in the morning, I got up serious. I couldn't hardly move. And every move was one of them, like sticking a knife in your body. This morning, it was worse than any of those before. But each morning got worse and worse. So, first I said, maybe it's the surface I'm laying on. So on top of the bed, I got some downstairs. I cut a piece of that wood and put a plank on it. Then I put some of that foam on top of that. You know what I mean? And a little bit more foam, so that helps your back if you're laying on a flat surface. And then that had a little effect. The next couple of nights I slept upstairs, and I took a foam pad. Now I can sleep up there on the floor, just so with the carpet and the right kind of pillow. But anyway, it was pretty bad. But I got my little warm up. The reason I came here so late, I've been warming up for the last 4 hours. Actually, a little bit before 10, 9:30, 10. I was warming up. Those little pulleys, those little elastic things they have, and the different color have a different strength. So I have a blue one, a red one, a yellow one, but I use the blue one for myself. So when I get up in the morning, I warm up. So after prayer, the first thing I do is I take those things and I warm up a little bit. And then I got a thing behind me and I put it on. I do a little, a couple of sets. And it warms your muscle up so you can get around pretty easy. I got a few that make you stretch over a little bit, so you're putting a little pressure on your back and stomach, and you just, you know what I mean, just lightly, Just a 75-year-old person knows their body and know what to do to get it, you know, up and rolling. This morning, I can say, for the last several mornings, it's been very serious. And this morning, it was so serious it's unbelievable. Okay, so I got in my mind that I know where this is coming from. I know this boss man doing it, and I know how it got here. I know that in 1974, when I was in the penitentiary, I know that I worked in the hospital, by the way. So the doc said, he looked at my lungs, he said, man, you got terrible lungs. Have you worked any mines anywhere, all that? And I was thinking, no, I ain't working no mines. Shoot, and I've been running in those days. There's some smoke and stuff in the city. I live like in Bogota and Medellin. But I'm out getting fresh air too, you know, and I'm doing this every morning, all the time. So I was the captain in the Nation of Islam, so I had the brother that worked in radiology, you know, he was one of the brothers. So I said, man, put that thing on me, you know, that little old thing, and put it for it. I said, take a picture of my lungs. He took a picture of it, and he held them up. He said, boy, them boys look pretty good. I said, they're not cloudy. I remember looking at the other one. They had spots all over it. And he said, boy, that's about, you know, that's the best pair of lungs I ever seen. Them boys is looking good. I said, yeah. So in the meantime, the doctor had told me, you look like you might have sarcoidosis or something. Probably in my genetic makeup, it might be a sign of it there. Because I think one of my relatives might have got it a little bit. But it never affected me. So the doc, now by 1974, they got all that stuff. They got a lot of scientific mumbo jumbo going on, and they're instituting it. If you look at that time, they come up with $6 million man in those days. $6 million man was a makeup of a lot of gadgets and stuff, but they were already, you can tell when they do that, they already can see 2 steps ahead. The Russians are sticking people with little things